which is always fun to watch. Like, thank God we're not playing, am I right, guys? But we'll watch two other people have a terrible time playing TBT. And that'll be fun. It's a best of 5 for the finals here. In the bottom right as the blue Terran, it is Clem. In the top left is the red Terran. He is HeRoMaRinE, the last surviving StarCraft 2 member of Mouse Esports. For a time, I think they just had him on their website because they forgot. Because remember, there was a time more than 2 years ago at this point, more than 3 years ago at this point? Good God, how long has it been? That HeRoMaRinE actually really wasn't playing a lot. He was definitely a part-time student. He has been for a lot of his career, actually, but he was certainly more focused on the whole student part. And he would occasionally stream, I guess, or occasionally plan a tournament, but he actually didn't play. And then, of course, now we know him as a staple of round of 8 WCSs, BlizzCon, a contender for best Terran, foreigner Terran, like all that good stuff. But yeah, 3 or 4 years ago, I'll go 4 years ago, that wasn't really the case. So I was always surprised that Mouse still have on the website and stuff. But now they should be very happy with their investment. I'm not sure. Clem is on a team, right? I'm just not sure. I don't remember which one it is. Missed the casting. Well, I do think I'm a better caster than I am a player. But there were not a lot of available ways to stream on your own channel tournaments and cast on your own channel. You'd have to go on another person's channel and be paid very little or nothing at all. Or, you know, maybe reach out to like really small tournaments. Or make your own tournaments. And I don't really like making my own tournaments. So the ESL Open Cups were truly a blessing. I mean, they're Go for StarCraft, which existed for a while and did exist up until like last year. So a very long time. That I could have done, but I think there's far less on the line for a lot of those Go for StarCraft. Some of them were just literally points based. And it was really hard to get them hyped up because they were fairly small. And as I said, many of them were quote unquote insignificant because they were just for the next tournament. To have something so structured, so advertised, so ingrained in the rest of the circuit, the rest of the tournament system, is very different and very good for casters like me and Maynard and everyone else, Wardy, Steadfast, so on and so forth. So we had some basic openers here. Double Hellions from Clem will protect him against any continued aggression. So if HeRoMaRinE not only went for 2 Reapers, but also his own Hellion, I went for a Widowmine, then the double Hellions would win out and it'd be fine. They can also provide, of course, their own aggression, but they generally don't get an opportunity to, because a bunker would be on the way, or a Cyclone would pop out in the nick of time type stuff. Defensively very good. HeRoMaRinE, quote unquote, wasting second Reaper. Doesn't really do very much. Oh, okay. I've seen this before. Hellion Marauder with a medevac. You can kind of drop on top of units to guarantee the Marauder slow kicks in. You get a Hellion. I guess it was just chilling. Okay, then. What was I saying? Yeah, you can drop it so the Marauder slow absolutely kicks in. You basically tag everything. Or you can just run up to the army, use the medevac for healing, or you can do a drop. You can even do an elevator if they're really not paying attention, if nothing over here. But for Clem, looks like he's going to go for direct bust into the main. Sorry, natural. The Widowmine might be a big surprise. That might severely weaken the medevac and the Marauders. And if the medevac's weakened, the Cyclone will kill it. Oh yeah, he's going for it. Oh, there's the kill in the medevac. So no healing. Immediate auto turret. 2 Reapers still survive for a couple of grenades. That's still a lot of Clem army left over. Marines are brought forward. A couple SCDs are pulled, but it is going to be a hold. Thank God for Widowmines. Am I right? Is it a hold? Tank pop, tank pop, tank pop. Love God, tank pop. 2 Hellions are not quite scary, and there's the tank. There it is. So 3 SCVs go down, a Cyclone goes down, a handful of other units, but Clem also investing a lot into that attack as his own delayed Reaper and lost his own set of units, but a Liberator not coming into the main base. One thing he got in that push was the Cyclone, so nothing else really reliably kills a Liberator. Even if he had a couple of Marines, it wouldn't really kill it very fast, so a lot of lost mining time. A couple SCVs will go down, but mostly saved. Oh, I love that. Oh, that's actually very clever. Now you at least get some gas mining with the return. Cyclone does pop. This is actually kind of a... Oh, that survived. I did not expect that. In the same way, I didn't expect the Cyclone to not kill the Liberator. I did not expect a second Cyclone. But I think HeRoMaRinE might have been used to this type of push and knew that a Liberator was going to follow it up, so it was worth investing into a second Cyclone. These guys are so smart, honestly. I can't even. So, what else is Clem falling behind in if that push, quote-unquote, didn't work? Well, he doesn't have as fast a 3rd CC. So that will be a lead for HeRoMaRinE. Their workers are even. Clem still has more army, but is later to Stim. And later to his 3rd barracks, 2nd and 3rd barracks. So, overall, HeRoMaRinE comes out ahead. There's a little bit of a dip in supply right now. That looks, it's deceiving. HeRoMaRinE is actually ahead. And where Clem is going for 1 upgrade, oh, he meant to go for 2. Oh no. Maybe he could have had a 20-second lead on 1-1. He's not going to have it now. And I would still give the combat shields upgrade timing such a lot more weight there than the 1-1, but he's not even getting it. No. Look. That's too bad. Probably just, you know, a little bit short on the gas. Now he finally realizes. Scan from both players in each of their bases, I guess confirming bio. And then for HeRoMaRinE, he just confirmed that there was a 3rd CC. If there wasn't, there'd be barracks done and 5 barracks done and all that. Clem does still have their army supply, so this is still a bit of a scary moment, but without combat shields, it's really deceiving. HeRoMaRinE having combat shields is so huge. Yeah, I don't think just like 1A, but it's big. Oh, that Cyclone lock on a tank is really nice. Combat shield is done. Raven's taken out instantly. Auto turrets in the front line as well, and boom, there you go. There you have it. Clean up on Io Clem. Oh, not quite actually. Oh my god, it's actually cleaning up HeRoMaRinE. Haha. Oh my god, he's gonna hit the Raven as well. Oh, Clem. What the hell, dude? I love the counter boost. Get it. You Terrans. You're so silly. Oh my god. Oh, I'm just sitting here amazed at everyone, at everything. Life is so beautiful. TVT is truly an art form. That did so much better than I thought. Like, the combat shield was one thing, but he was kind of forced into an awkward situation because that tank was locked on. But I thought the auto turrets in his face were going to demolish him. For Clem to come out still ahead on army supply there was... I am very surprised. But 1-1 is finally finished for both parties. Clem only shortly a little behind there, but faster on the armory, so 10-second lead. Combat shields would also be involved for his next fight, which he really does need. And a 4th CC on the way for both players. Clem, though, on location will have a slightly faster one. Equal in workers, now equal in that army supplies. HeRoMaRinE finally goes, I guess, full gear into double factory and 5 barracks. There you are. 5 barracks. Scans revealing everyone's defenses. Cyclone, missile turret, very good combination against even a double medevac drop. Goes over to the left side instead, gets the SCV. Will not be able to stop the 4th from finishing. That would have been a great pickup, but... definitely a little bold of him to assume he could have done that. So lifting up, getting away, better option here. 4th CC now on the way for HeRoMaRinE to land, so very equally timed. Lots of things starting out even. Lots of things. The supply overall is rather even. Army is going slightly into HeRoMaRinE's favor, but a fight could easily change that. And fight it is. That's being taken by HeRoMaRinE. Even going up a ramp into a choke, he thought he could take that. That was awfully bold. And he does lose that temporary army supply I was just talking about. Planetary now on the way for Clem to protect against any drops. Not that there are any out in the field. All of them, both of them should be sending out all the Marines to go for some scouting. Keep tabs on what their opponent is doing. Keep tabs on any medevac drops. That's the next step of TVT. And then the next step after that is going to be Liberator Viking. And in fact, they might just skip the whole scouting and dropping phase and go right into Liberator Viking because they're both on 4 bases. And that is a lot of TVTs nowadays. If it doesn't end the first, 7 minutes, and it's not the scrappiest TVT you've ever seen, then it is kind of just jumping forward, whoops-a-daisy, into multiple starports. Oh, big attack to the left side. HeRoMaRinE gets a drop to the right, however. And it is a very effective drop. Clem had most, if not all, of his army onto his main attack. You hope that the drop doesn't occur when you're at very few units defensively, but sometimes it does. Sometimes it's awkward. Both gases get taken out. SCVs back on rally. Get back there, guys. Mostly safe. That was a really nice drop. It's probably not important in the grand scheme of things as we again go into what is late game TVT, but that was a really good drop. 2-2 is done for HeRoMaRinE, but 2-2 about to finish for Clem. Should be here for this fight. Oh, he's going to be late to armor, actually, and he's going to get fully surrounded, though. Oh, from the right side, Clem surrounding this surround. Gotcha. This whole TVT is surprises. It's the boss of chocolate right now. And now they're back to damn even. So damn even. I mean, there's +1 vehicle weapons missing, but the tanks weren't even involved in that fight. Gas is being retaken. You don't need them, but he got them. He getting them. You will need them if you go up to a bunch of starports, which so far neither player has done. A couple Vikings here and there, a couple Liberators here and there. Literally a couple Vikings, but eventually they will add on more starports. Oh, is that a big drop? That's a big drop. That's a big drop to the right side. Nothing to scout that. HeRoMaRinE maybe got the tail end of it as he is retreating, but is it too late? No tanks here, and this one not siege. A couple of Marines, that's it for the defense. And this is going to blow past a bunch of SCVs, get a couple of Vikings, hopefully open up an attack to the main as well. Tank goes down to the Liberator. That's going to be pretty key if Clem can pay attention to both things at once. Can he save the main base attack and push into the main base? No, he cannot, because there's an attack of HeRoMaRinE on top of the third. Once more, the double drop finding some success. Mostly just pulling back Clem's main attack that could have maybe hit that third base. That was the scariest point about that, especially with the Liberator available and the Vikings having just been taken out by the main base drop, which most of it does survive, and it's gonna go ahead and sneaky like. Nope, Vikings do find it. But it's too many Marines for HeRoMaRinE to take on. HeRoMaRinE starting 3-3, way ahead of Clem, and his +2 vehicle weapons is going to have a substantial upgrade lead, and that is finally a substantial one that we're going to actually have affect a couple of fights. Medevac is kind of a freebie right there. That's always nice, and Clem could try and just go for the Viking superiority and go into Liberator range. I don't have to worry so much about Marine upgrades. But so far, not doing it. It's actually HeRoMaRinE going for it first. He went for a couple extra orbitals, now going for the extra starports, and might even start up some air ship weapon upgrades. A bit of a contain coming here from Clem as he gets the high ground. This is where HeRoMaRinE not only wants to transition, whoops-a-daisy, that's awkward, transition into the later stage of the TVT, but he also needs to because he is kind of contained. Command center goes down. That's not really a good reason for that. That was a plain old mistake. The drop to the left side is covered. Oh, and the attack on the right. HeRoMaRinE actually gonna try and break this? I don't know about that. Tanks, however, do survive despite all of HeRoMaRinE's Marines dying. That's hard to say. And it's not exactly a break, but it's not exactly a super foolworthy attack either. I don't know. I was okay. Literally, it was okay. I don't know. HeRoMaRinE has so many Marines over here, though, that this has become more than okay. He's been able to push back the drop, not entirely, it didn't die, but it was no longer scouting. So many Marines, they jump on top of that 5th base, they kill it, making up for that silly command center in the middle of the map, and even to take on a couple of Marines, because the upgrades are done for him, but not done for Clem. Clem still has 30 seconds on that. All of his tanks are left alone. HeRoMaRinE scans and is going to go ahead and take advantage of that as Clem is forced to reset, calm down a little. No longer on the map. Yeah, go ahead and take that out. I mean, Clem can't exactly unsiege at this point, right? So just try and save the medevacs. And Clem does have an extra command center he's going to float over now. HeRoMaRinE also has extra command centers. An orbital and an orbital. And Clem's going to have another extra planetary. We could maybe see building armor and high-sec auto tracking if the game continues on, but both of them trading blow for blow. Can't necessarily afford it right now. It would be a lot better to afford those Vikings, those starports, and yeah, that fusion core, which is exactly what HeRoMaRinE is doing. That is not a lot of defense there from HeRoMaRinE, but kind of sees the tanks coming from the right side. Clem not going to go into the third base, but rather try and position around the fourth. Not going to work out because that's where the tanks were sieged. But you can't blame a guy for trying. Medevac is scouted off to the right side. It's only a single Medevac, hardly ever devastating. But Clem does reposition his units, take his Zelnaga once more, and go into his own Viking wars, and that is where we're at. HeRoMaRinE did not go into ship weapons like I thought he would. He does, in fact, go for that +3 vehicle weapons. I think if you're at that point where it's going to transition into starport, it makes sense to go into the upgrades, because tank upgrades don't affect any kill shots. You know, getting +3 doesn't make it one less shot to kill something, but it is a splash unit, right? So every attack does help. Still would have expected him to go into ship weapons. Oh well. He might after this. Drop in the main base, finding a couple supply depots, but Clem looking for a bigger kill here. He finds a lot of tanks that aren't very well protected, but tanks protect themselves at a certain number, which is exactly what happened. The tanks didn't have marine fodder, but they didn't need marine fodder because there was like 7 tanks behind them. So Clem loses a lot of marines, and while that's pretty easy to replace, he will eventually be able to replace that. He's got enough economy to do that much. That might be where HeRoMaRinE could maybe like counterattack, but that's not in HeRoMaRinE's book actually right now. He's going to try and go into Liberator Viking, which does put him into a position where he's less likely to get counterattacks. He's less likely to be able to jump on his opponent's units with Marines and a concave. He's all about the slow positional game with some solid defense, which, I mean, that's HeRoMaRinE, right? Clem is the more active guy. I mean, it's like kind of stereotyped as the younger guy who's really fast and really active and maybe makes a couple of foolhardy decisions. It's like the old versus new right now, even though they're both pretty young. And HeRoMaRinE is technically at that better composition. If you're stuck up against Tank, Viking, Liberator, you are damn screwed. You're just screwed. Your only chance to go for a base race. Clem losing a command center over here. His command center might also go down. I think it'll be saved, but it's going to be a very costly save. And oh, there's the repositioning of tank. It's a mech army. It's literally a mech army right there. And you cannot beat that unless you have your own air army, or as I said, a base race. Clem has lost out in the pacing of TVT. He's going to lose out in the economy of TVT as HeRoMaRinE happily mines off of 5 bases. And his very, very slow Viking transition is not going to be enough. Although more Vikings coming in from the right side, it still might not be enough. 9 to 9 with 5 Liberators, 4 Liberators to help out. Actually, HeRoMaRinE forced to retreat. Not all of his Vikings were on the front line, I suppose. A couple of Marines trying to find whatever they can over here, but Clem has some protection. But this is still not looking very good for our Blue Terran. He's got 1 extra command center, and that's going to be it. He needs to replace 40 army supply, which is not that bad, but he wants to replace it with Vikings, and that is very expensive. 40 supply of Marines, instant. 40 supply of Vikings, like, I don't know about that. Desperately sending over that main command center. HeRoMaRinE, I mean, unless he continues undervaluing the Vikings, he should win this game. HeRoMaRinE gonna have 2-1 to Clem's just 1 on those Vikings as well. Another base coming in for our Blue Terran. That's always nice, but more starports from HeRoMaRinE, who is maxed out and starting to bank. I think +3 tanks make it so you can 2-shot Marines after stim. If that is the case, then that's new to me. That'd be very interesting. Well, that's going to be it, I think. Clem does have a large force of Marines trying to go for that base race that I was talking about, but his tanks do not hold. Even without HeRoMaRinE bringing in Liberators, they are blown away. This base is found out without being a planetary, and these Marines, they find a planetary. That's the one thing. Yeah, even if with a lot of Marines. Like, that was a ton of Marines. Well upgraded, too. They don't really match up against a planetary, especially if it has building armor. They kill it, but, like, half his Marines went down doing so. On the other side of things, HeRoMaRinE is not killing his opponent's planetary. So you might think it starts to look okay, but it's really not. The last hurrah, I do believe. And it is going to break free. Clem's still on at least one base healthy mining. But he sees his opponent is on 5 bases, and that just can't feel very good. About to be back up to 6. Transformation servos? For the Vikings? I guess. Why not? Why not? Or maybe if he had to emergency go into Thor's, but I'm just gonna go with it's for the Vikings. Scan reveals an orbital has that 4th base. That's gonna be an easy kill. And it's not like Clem can really afford to go save that. Clem is only down 30 armor supply despite being down 60 overall supply. It is worth noting, but HeRoMaRinE has the better composition. So I think the worst case scenario is that HeRoMaRinE gets brought back to even with his opponent. That's the worst case scenario. Best case scenario, he defends his bases with Liberators and tanks, kills Clem's bases, and eventually gets on top of Clem's production, which is exactly what Clem is thinking. Production is critical for Terrans. He's right on top of most of it, although a lot of it's in the natural, and even I think around, it's kind of split between natural and main. This is, I don't know if it's big enough for us. Liberator's getting targeted down instantly, not even one sieged. Finally gets blown apart. 1 tank on the low grounds is not helping. Just kidding, you're lazy. And HeRoMaRinE has lost his Liberator count. He still has his Vikings, sure, and here come the rest of his Marines finally to save the day. I think that is going to be enough. 3 tanks, 2 of them very, very low. Upgrades quite even. Vikings of HeRoMaRinE going to land with that transformation servos. Heyo! The Clem does not have enough of an economy to replace what he just traded out there. He's going to try and jump on top of an orbital that has 3 tanks protecting it. 3 tanks with +2 armor, by the way. I'm just saying. And while the Vikings landing was a great idea, Clem just doesn't have the supply. Damn, did he make it look close at the end, though. Never give up, never surrender, I suppose. GG. 23-minute TVT, no big deal.
Twitch Prime sub received. Thank you for appeasing the overmind.
Thank you, Anubis. Anubis, Hades, without the X, for 6 months. Howdy. Howdy. There's been a lot of good games in this cup, but it also means that it's going on 6 hours. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Got a lot of viewers here. I feel like a real streamer. It's game number 2 of the finals coming up on Eternal Empire. I'd like to remind everyone that if you have a Twitch Prime sub, I would really appreciate it. Always gotta throw that out there. If you're just enjoying the show, then please continue enjoying the show and keeping it civil in chat. In the bottom left, it is HeRoMaRinE. And top right is going to be Clem. Playing some pretty superb TVT. Starting off with a... I don't want to call it a failed attack, because it really wasn't a failure. A less than success attack from Clem is what I'll call it, I guess. Because it did enough, obviously, that he was fine. Not even like, oh, TVT's made of comebacks. Like, it wasn't really a comeback situation, but he was fine. And he did manage to find those scenarios where you know, suddenly get ahead a little bit. But he was still behind. Like, he should have done... I think ideally you win the game, obviously, but ideally you kill, like, 9 SCVs. You kill the entire natural. Maybe even contain them for a bit. Like, that's something that we've seen happen with that push. Because it is so shocking, so surprising. When killing, just kind of trading out the army, and then killing, was it 4 or 5 SCVs and a mule, and then the Liberator not doing very much because HeRoMaRiNE's big brain and built a second Cyclone. That's not really what you want, but it's okay. So HeRoMaRiNE did have faster stam and combat shields by a large margin. He did have faster production, which showed itself briefly before he took a bad fight. It was still a better game for HeRoMaRiNE from the start, but it was 20 however minutes, and TVT is full of comebacks. It's full of considerations. Like, there's not just a literal, like, look at the supply. Not that StarCraft has ever really looked at the supply. It's all just a meme anyways, but I'd say TVT especially. Because even upgrades have such a huge impact with our Marines, because I'm a Terran. With the way Marines work, and any upgrade difference for even 10 seconds being a huge difference. With the way concaves can work against tanks, like, there's so many things to consider other than just, oh, this person has 20 more supply. Or this person has 5 more SCVs. Which, you know, Clem didn't even get an SCV lead with that attack. So. That was a 2-minute way of just saying that wasn't exactly a failure, but you get my point now. So, not going to do the same attack I would not expect. If HeRoMaRiNE had not gone for a cute little Widow Mine, it would have been very different. And I guess just as is on a map that doesn't have a natural ramp, I mean, it kind of does, but not really. It would go differently, but it doesn't really matter. HeRoMaRiNE's gonna lose the Reaper, a little over eager. Looks like he brought an SCV to try and win the tango. And his dive to get the SCV building the command center, he loses his Reaper. Oh, wow, really? He loses his Reaper in his own SCV. I love it. That's so cheeky. That's so cute. Oh. These guys. I mean, he had 125 minerals somehow to do that, but oh, these guys. So now it's Clem going into... Oh, well, no, this is what he did last time, wasn't it? Is he really going to go into Marauders, though? No, he's not. Wait, what? Interesting. So, well, it's not Marauders, but it's still going to be a Hellion drop. I was wondering why he built 2 tech labs. So I guess you just transfer the factory instantly after the Hellions so that you have a tank ASAP or a Cyclone. Okay, I get it. Not like a tech lab's that expensive. And the, 20-second difference can be really quite big. Why ain't Wardy casting this too? Well, if you go to teamliquid.net, is that what it's called? TL.net, actually, I think now. You can look at the sidebar and see what other StarCraft 2 tournaments are happening, or alternatively, you can go to Wardy's TV channel and see that he is casting another thing. He has his own tournament going on, which I will be casting the playoffs, actually, later this week. Hellion drop has commenced, headed right for the main base in that little shadowy area that the Marines are not covering. Uh-oh, one Marine, though. HeRoMaRinE with the strats. At least has some notice. Doesn't really pull SVs that quickly, but the pull on the SVs is good. Even a little bit of a split to kind of distract the Hellions. And now Clem is just going to try and trade out whatever we can. but saving them is probably the best option there. Viking's gonna go for a couple of kills on its own, and honestly, it's gonna kill maybe as many. Pretty quick pull, and the Cyclone does pop out in the nick of time. Look how good Vikings are against Mechanical. It's so crazy. So crazy. 4 SCVs for 2. Clem still behind, but getting a third base on location. And there's a reason he's getting a faster third, and it's not just because he's on location. HeRoMaRinE is spending a little more time on production. Now his third does come down, but very safe third. Banshee with Cloak appears. Clem is getting a second one as well. This is always just kind of one of those... It's so... Well, it's not quite it's so bad it's good, but it's kind of along those lines, where you don't really see Banshees do a lot of damage in TVT, because Cyclone Raven is such a devastating combination. Instead of the almost guaranteed 2 scans that Banshee used to get to kill it, it's now no scans. It gets 1 shot in an SCV alone, and that's it. But HeRoMaRinE, with the opening he chose, the Raven was not that quick, and there's no Cyclone here. So he's trying to get one now alongside a Viking, which he obviously sacrificed, which worked out well for Clem's idea. And Clem gets 7 SCVs. Tries to go into the natural. That was cute, but doesn't really work out. A few more SCVs. The Raven's trying to catch up. Could auto-turret, I think, would kill it at this point. But the Viking's coming anyway, so why bother? Banshee into the main base, however. Clem really amping up the harassment here. Could Cloak to break the lock on. Could actually go after the Cyclone now. Master Pair has to go down on it to save it. I think he does want to save it, but too late, perhaps. If he stopped running, he would die. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not. Woo. Whoop, 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 whoop. But no lock-on available. Or rather, it was cut off for some reason. Because the Raven was just slightly out of position. HeRoMaRinE more focused on an attack. Third CC is delayed as well. Clem's already done, so at worst, he can just lift it. I think he will have to lift it as well, because they... Well, this is awkward. They don't know. I think Clem has figured out that he's being hit now, and he's going to try and retreat to save the day. He scans. They both scan each other. No scan necessary because the Raven's available, I guess. Well, not for long, but the scan is good. The Banshees all go down. They added a little bit of extra damage, and that siege tank of Clem is pretty good. The Cyclone one them goes down, but the second one's going to survive. This tank of Clem goes down. Tank of HeRoMaRinE gets rallied across the map. Cyclone trying to do its best, taking out some of the high key targets. A Viking is included. We're talking about mechanical versus mechanical. More Vikings land, but the Marines maybe now a problem. Banshee comes in. Is that the 4th Banshee? And try and save the day. Hellion's even coming in. Are not going to be enough, and that scan is gone. This command center is only now being finished, so no third orbital means the Banshee might just be able to save the day. Cyclone lock-on's going to be too good for it, though, and it does go down. That ended up being so much better than I anticipated. Huh. I don't think he had to do that, actually. I don't know. Oh, okay. All right. HeRoMaRinE taps out, judges the situation to be too poor for him to recover. They were a very even supply. Their thirds were even because he delayed Clem's third. But I guess maybe seeing that Clem was going mech and knowing that his stim combat shield production and barracks production like wouldn't be good for another 1.5 to 2 minutes, that would be a lot of time for a mech player to get comfy on 3 bases. So in that way I understand it, but it's an odd looking tap out because it is such an even supply. He's being sad, like proxy. That's what a good caster does. Apparently, Nightshade in Italian is Belladonna. Is that Italian? Or Spanish? I don't know. TVT still makes me sleepy. These TVTs have been super actiony. You kidding me?
Captain, we are being hosted.
Well, if this don't excite you, then you're a lost cause, houseless gamer. Thank you, Diabo, for that host. So now it is all evened up in the bottom right on Nightshade. It is Clem. In the top left, it is HeRoMaRinE. Did HeRoMaRinE pull an Idra and think he lost all his SCVs? It's possible. If he thought he was 20 less SCVs than he was, then that's obviously a big difference. He also, as I said, he might have just thought that he was too far behind in terms of punishing mech, which I would agree on. I am a bit biased, though, against mech in that I am afraid of it, so I sometimes give it more credit than it deserves. But in my opinion, if you don't get that mid-game, and that whole push took so long, and his stim and production was so late that the mid-game would have been quite poor for him, then the late game is just excruciating against mech. It's just, just get it over with type stuff, so.
Twitch Prime sub received. Thank you for appeasing the Overmind.
Thank you, Smash Benjamin, for the Twitch Prime sub. Yeah, HeRoMaRiNE's not really a nonsense type of guy. In a tournament, he will most of the time he'll just play it out and try and get the victory. But in a ladder game, it's different, and even a smaller tournament game, it's different. And even in a big tournament, sometimes he does tap out what looks to be a bit premature, but makes sense not just if you look at the series of events that's going to follow. If you can see what he sees, you'll understand as well. And if any of you were paying attention to his stream, he might have gone over it briefly why he did that. I don't know. But you also have to keep in mind that his mentality is just better if you just you know what, that was already a bad game, just tap out. Because it was already a bad game. For him to take that much damage from the Banshees was already kind of it's almost an embarrassment when TVT ends up that way. When you lose to Banshees, it's just oh, I am just dumb. You're not supposed to, really. Unless you're doing something really weird but if you're going for Ravens, if you have the ability to make a Cyclone, and you still lose that much to Banshees, it's you're already in a bad mentality. You're kind of in an all-in mentality as well, and then you're all-in, quote-unquote, doesn't really work. I get it. It's on to the next TVT. We have both of them going for factory expands. No, HeRoMaRiNE factory expands. Clem goes for a full-on 1-1-1. Double Reapers coming out as well. This is going to be a very deadly attack. This is what we saw from Minato in the very beginning of this tournament, I believe, with a medevac, and even 2 more Reapers after 4 Reapers.
Warning. Philanthropist programs detected in comm server 04.
Thank you, Irv Nasty, for the 10 gifted subs. Much appreciated, my dude. Make sure to give some sub love if you got it.
Programs detected in comm server 04.
Uh-oh. Oh, God. It's gonna be so loud.
Warning. Philanthropist programs detected in comm.
I can't make it stop. Oh, God. The attack is so much more important. 4 Reapers coming in here with a 3rd Hellion Dragon behind. HeRoMaRiNE with no wall off in the main base has nothing to deal with this. He just has less units. There's no other way to put it. The SCVs have got to desperately try and get us around, and he has to wait for a Cyclone to pop, but it's not gonna work. The SCVs are gonna die a horrible, horrible death. Is he gonna try and maybe go for the Cyclone? Is he gonna try and go for the Cyclone? He's gonna try and go for the Cyclone. Big old grenade. Pops it up. Medevac comes at the last second. Dear God, the Cyclone will not die. Oh, but it finally does. But that's it anyways. GG.
Apparently you are doing something right, Captain.
Oh, wow, the resubs come in. Thank you, guys.
Warning.
4-minute game right there, guys. 4-minute game. Ah!
Warning. Philanthropist programs detected in comm server 04.
Okay. I skipped it. There's too much happening.
Philanthropist programs detected in comm server 04.
Is it done? Done. Apparently, HeRoMaRinE did know he had 50 SCVs. So it wasn't an Idra moment. Really sucks that HeRoMaRinE didn't have a wall on that high ground, by the way. I mean, I feel like that changes how that game goes quite a bit. The Reapers still are able to get up, and it's a deadly number of Reapers. And your SCVs in the natural still die. But you still have a lot more time to get the Cyclone out with protection. Okay, some simulacrum. Top left Clem, bottom right HeRoMaRinE. Clem, after a super gruesome game number 1, gets swifter and swifter in his victories post that. So last game lasting under 4 minutes and 30 seconds. So that's a good feeling. Now he's up 2-1. Pretty much the last 2 games took less time than the first game. By a lot. Will Clem do that again? Probably not. Same thing I said for Minato. And he didn't. Did not end up doing it again. HeRoMaRinE could, I guess, try and be like, take it. I'll show you how it's done. Stupid kid. Good. Boo, boo. But HeRoMaRiNE's not necessarily that type of guy. When you're NSCV ordered to surround 3 Hellions, you're already in for a bad time. Double gas again from HeRoMaRinE. He did go for a factory expand last game, which is, you know, supposed to be safer, but not safe enough. I don't think HeRoMaRinE... did he go for an SCV scout? Not that your SCV lasts long enough to see exactly what they're doing, but he would have seen that it was a starport before a command center, and then I think that would have already been very suspicious, right? Maybe... I mean, what does he do differently if he knows it's a 1-1-1? Maybe he does wall. I don't know if he could fit that in there, but maybe he does wall. And maybe he has his units more defensively around his SCVs to buy like a little bit more time, or more offensively to try and catch the units before they come across the map. Not sure. But he would have seen, I think, that there was a starport follow-up, because then all the gases still would have been taken 3 out of 3. Yeah, I don't think he SCV scouted, which is very common with factory expands. The idea is that kind of don't need to. If you are being 2-axe Reaper rushed, you have the ability to hold, with your factory being quite quick. It's other things past this point, like we saw last game, that are still pretty dangerous. The Clem is taking the opportunity of just doing a very aggressive attack to do a very macro build. Going into the 1-axe expand double Hellions. Wardy's waiting for Clem to finish this series. He probably is. A lot of his players for today thought the cup, I guess, was going to be a little bit shorter. I thought it was. 3 hours ago, I was predicting this to end in an hour. I was so wrong. Command center going to finish finally for HeRoMaRinE as he swaps over his barracks and starport. Cyclone on the way, very safe. Raven, I would expect. There you go. Ditto for Clem, who also swaps... I'm not sure what happened there. Did he swap it? Did he swap the barracks and tech factory, or did he swap the starport and then... Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. He could eventually swap the reactor and tech lab of the starport and barracks. Go for some Vikings as well, but that is kind of one of the older ways of playing now. I play an old style because I'm old and stubborn. You could also just swap this off to the tech lab to get stim and then do whatever else he wants with the starport. Reaper's not going to scout the third CC. Nicely placed 2 Marines right there. Is anyone going to get second Raven? Yes, indeed. HeRoMaRinE goes for the second Raven. Into tanks. His own third CC. No tech lab quite yet. We saw Clem go into mech in that second game, so he clearly can go into mech. Might have been a very map-dependent thing, though. It was on Eternal Empire. Oh, this is awkward. Well, the Cyclone lock-on goes better for Clem, though, and that is usually what's most important, even though he was a bit caught by surprise. Second lock-on goes much better for HeRoMaRinE. And that is that. HeRoMaRinE comes out ahead. Cyclone alive, and even all these other units that aren't really important as the game goes on. Oh, HeRoMaRinE going for mech. He's got Magfield Accelerator on the way alongside another Cyclone and yet another Raven? Wow, 3 Raven. That was the thing to do up until the Raven got nerfed. I was just gonna question if Clem was gonna go for mech, because no stim has yet started, but he is gonna add on those extra barracks, eventually start stim. He needs to recognize HeRoMaRinE's going for mech then. This might take a while. He's gonna have the Viking production. I said he could swap over just like he did, but it's an older way of playing, and I'll stick by that. A lot of TVTs and Oscraft didn't actually go into this. And this is the first time I think we've seen this specific follow-up of the TVTs today. So I'm gonna stick with what I said. But it is certainly still a way to play. It's not like it's really that bad. And that Viking superiority could come into play against a mech user. Obviously, the Magfield Accelerator Cyclone combination kind of makes up for the lack of starport production. But if you go into range of tanks, honestly, if the Vikings land, they're so problematic. You can have a couple interference magics on Cyclones. Tanks are usually that big ticket item, right? But Cyclones are also pretty important. This is pretty nice. It's almost the equivalent of like Blink Stalkers, forcing you to siege on siege. Buying a little bit more time. HeRoMaRinE sees the push and how deadly it is with that many Vikings. It goes, no thank you. Good job sieging up that tank. Lock on a Marine's not too useful. Third CC is going to be lifted over eventually for Clem here. He is not reinforcing. I thought he would with the Vikings at the very least, but just keeping them at home. Wait a minute. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa! I was talking about so many other things. No, barracks are on the way. He got Magfield accelerators and then went into bio. So stim is going to be later, but he has faster upgrades. And the Cyclones are just waiting for the opportunity to lock on to an actual mechanical unit here, an armored unit, I should say. Which they have yet to do. Blah, blah, blah. My bad. Combat shield's also on the way for Clem, who did think it was... Okay, so I'm not alone. The Magfield Accelerator almost always means you're going to go into mech. It's not the first time I've seen it go into bio. No, Vikings land on top of everything. The Cyclone lock-ons were finally on top of something useful, but is it going to be enough? 3 Ravens! Dear God, coming from the north side to throw down a bunch of auto turrets. But it's not going to be enough. 4 tanks survived. 2 very, very weak, but still alive. Clem has faster combat shields and faster stim, not that it really matters right here, right now. He's going to force lift up on that 3rd CC. He needs to recognize that it's bio, though, because Marauders are going to become really bad pretty soon. Scan reveals bio from Clem. That's a little more obvious. And then the scan from Clem reveals the bit surprising bio of HeRoMaRinE. Good thing he scanned, though, so he's going to want to trade off the tech labs for more reactors. At this point, he could actually trade off every tech lab for a reactor. But he's going to keep at least the 1. And then go into a second factory here. So, I mean, the biggest change is the tech lab versus reactor thing. But there's also, I think, a difference in how you planned on engaging against the other Terran if it's mech versus bio. And now he's going to kind of reevaluate. Still a pretty damn good attack, though. Forcing a lift off while he took his own 3rd is always nice. These combat shields, unfortunately, will not play that big of a part. That's the sucky thing about this. You know, combat shields can be really, really big, but it's going to finish for HeRoMaRinE. And HeRoMaRinE also has that 1-1 and moving on to 2-2. His upgrade timings were pretty pristine in that one super long macro game. So I suspect he will continue his upgrade lead. Interference matrix from Clem on that forward tank might be good enough. The Ravens of HeRoMaRinE once again setting down a bunch of auto turrets, and this time it is going to be enough with a huge concave of Marines as well. HeRoMaRinE blasts past that entire attack. The upgrades kicking in there, the combat shields timing out perfectly, and once again saving every single Raven. That's so annoying. I'd say after the 10-minute mark, you expect that everyone has lost their Ravens, but to have 3 still alive here for HeRoMaRinE and repairing them back up, ooh, that's going to be nasty. It's going to be less about it's going to be less about auto turrets and more about anti-armor missile and the interference matrix as time goes on, but all of them are super effective. The Raven's just a super good unit. 2-2 has started, not quite paired up, but close enough, and Clem only just now starts his 1-1, so he is going to lose out in the macro game. Wisely abandoning ship on that third base, not because he wasn't in position, because he was intentionally not in position, going for a big drop into the natural, but that's not going to work, and he's just going to tap out right then and there. HeRoMaRinE ties it up to go into game number 5. The Cyclone opener really did throw off Clem. Woo! Gonna wait for that lobby invite. Then get some water. I'll be right back. Oh. Ooh, we have not seen Zen this entire tournament. No joke. Finally coming out here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. Do the thing, Clem. Do it. Do the T-Rex. Finally coming out for the final game, so they vetoed whatever other 2 maps there were. I've been awake far too long to actually keep track of the maps. It's all tied up. It's for all the marbles. Well, 75% of the marbles, because that's what first place gets. And some points. But Clem in the bottom left going for the 2 racks against HeRoMaRinE in the top right, who has done factory expands for the last 3 games at least, right? So I'd expect it again, especially on Zen. I mean, zoiks. But that doesn't mean that you automatically win against the 2 racks, especially if you miss micro. You can still lose. You can still lose the first 2 Reapers if you're really bad like I am. You're not supposed to. But Clem can certainly find a way to stabilize, but there's a 3rd SCV on the way. He's gonna 3 racks Reaper him? Because there's a gas, it's not Marines. And also Marines against... in TVT is kind of mega lol, but... Oh, wow. Hard to afford it, but it is a 15, 15, 15. HeRoMaRinE, oh, this is so nice for HeRoMaRinE actually, because not only is he factory expanding, he's also SCV scouting, something he wasn't doing in the past 2 games. That's so nice, because as I said, like, You can still lose to a 2 racks, 3 racks, if you don't micro, but to have preparation, to have it in your mind, that's what they're doing, and just already have like SCVs pulled. You can even try and build bunkers, which I think in this case you would want to build bunkers. It's a 15-15-15 from Clem. He doesn't know about the 3rd barracks. If he did, I think you definitely build bunkers. He's building 1 now. The trick is that if it's not super dedicated 2 racks, then bunkers are kind of unnecessary, then you force them to overreact. But in this case, it would not be an overreaction at all. So HeRoMaRinE starts a 2nd bunker as well. No wall, so the Reapers now have another access point instead of just this one. But Zen might be a short map. It's not necessarily the friendliest to Reaper aggression. Is that a Reaper? Oh, it was SCV. That was SCV. He needs a 2nd Reaper to help out here. He needs to get in the bunker as well. Oh no. Oh geez. Oh, ooh, this is so dangerous to do for both parties. Okay. I like that HeRoMaRinE pulled more SCVs. Like, he might have been able to sneak in there. Probably did, but I think it's much safer to pull the SCVs. 3 SCVs have gone down so far, but the Hellion production is finally up and ready to go. Orbital is finally on the way for Clem, because he afforded that 3rd barracks. The Hellion easily snipeable, especially if the Reaper count's very high. 1 Reaper goes down for Clem, but not 2. And both Reapers for HeRoMaRinE go down, and that might just be it. Another Hellion pops out to very weak Reapers. Oh! 1 shot! 3 kills. Take that, Widowmaker. You suck. But there's so many Reapers still on the way. This might still be it. The Reaper's not going to survive. Oh, the SCVs are alone. They're alone and frightened, and they're going to die. And the Hellion this time is not going to be enough, because these Reapers are going to be pretty healthy, and they're not going to line up again. Ugh! Proxy racks, am I right, guys? Am I flipping right? GG, Clem! You cheeky player, you. You're sick. Clem takes a 3-2.